And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host and author, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back for the third time the incredible award-winning author, Amanda Jayatissa, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new book, Island Witch, out tomorrow. Amanda, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Sarah. I'm so excited to be here for the third time. This is so awesome. So diving right into it, Island Witch is set in 19th century British colonial Ceylon, which is what Sri Lanka used to be called back in the day. And it takes place in a little coastal fishing village where our main character, Amara, who is the village demon priest's daughter, with the shift in ideologies that have come in with colonialization and the change in religions, the villagers have started regarding her father, who was previously held in quite high esteem, but they've started regarding him now with a little bit of suspicion. And when there are a series of attacks that start plaguing the men in Amara's village, all fingers point to her father, and Amara is, of course, convinced of his innocence, and moreover, absolutely convinced that she needs to prove his innocence to everybody else. So she sets about the task of trying to find out, how these attacks are taking place and who's at the bottom of it. But she can't shake this feeling that this is somehow tied into this night when she woke up dazed and confused to the sounds of her mom screaming that no one can find out about this. And she's also been having these nightmares that eerily seem to predict these attacks before they happen. So it brings in a lot of Sri Lankan folklore, a lot of Sri Lankan traditions and practices and religious beliefs, and a whole lot of stuff that's very close to my heart, and I really enjoyed writing about.
Well, I really enjoyed reading about it, and I know we are all going to enjoy talking about it now. And Amanda, we have so much to talk about because I want to talk about all of these things. I want to talk about Sri Lankan folklore, demonic possession, the ghosts of the spirits of the jungle, Amanda's father, Tatha. We have so much, her mother, Amma, we have so much to talk about, and I'm so excited. But first, I just want to welcome everybody because we are broadcasting live to 7 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So, hey, mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday because Mondays can be murder. We're going to make them a little less painful for you and get your week off to a killer start. If you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome. We're so happy you're here. Here's the drill. Every Monday for #Mystery Monday, I invite my hand-picked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask award-winning author Amanda Jayatissa about her writing process, about her first 2 books and how this is such a different book, and yet still got that trademark Jayatissa that we all love so much. Just get the questions going in the comments. I'll get them right over to her. We have Renee joining us live from Facebook saying, hi, Sara and Amanda from Southeast Florida. Hi, Renee, and welcome. Amanda's a dog mom too, so we're already vibing with your doggy picture. Yeah. We have Randy joining us from YouTube saying, hi, Sara. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Randy. Welcome to the conversation. I love your little black kitty there. Very on brand. Black cats are where it's at.
I love it. It's such a vibe.
Yes. Now, Amanda, I want to start out with some of the amazing praise. I just have to ask because, oh my God, R.L. Stine himself had some incredible words of praise. This is, of course, the founder of the legendary Goosebumps series. Let's take a peek at what he had to say. He said, every once in a while, a book comes along that drops you into another world and takes you places you never could imagine. That is this book, an astounding accomplishment. I have goosebumps just reading that amazing praise, which your book has so richly earned. So, Amanda, tell us about the process of meeting Mr. Stine and reading these words of praise about your work.
Yeah, well, it's just such a full circle moment for me. I grew up reading his books. My best friend and we used to fight over who would get to read it first, and then we would cut class, and I still remember this particular book of his, The Ghost Next Door. that's the book that I think really kind of changed my way of looking at stories, and almost like made me want to become a writer, because it's the first book I felt where like the rug got pulled out from under me. I was like, wow, that was a plot twist. I did not see that coming. And it's been that sort of feeling that I've been, I think, chasing as a reader and as a writer ever since. Um, when I met him, I was actually very lucky that I met him at Thriller Fest in New York. That was in 2022. Am I right? Yeah. And of course, I was a blubbering mess, right, when I met him, because I was trying to, tell him, like, how do you explain to someone who you grew up reading, who you idolize so much, like, how can you, like, in a span of like less than a minute, and like when there are crowds of people behind you, how do you convey to them exactly how important they are to you, right? So I went up to him and I started like very incoherently just like rambling off, and I have to say, he was just like the kindest, most gracious man. He signed my book, and he chit chatted with me a little bit, and he wasn't at all taken aback by like my intensity. I don't even know what. And yeah, and he was just so wonderful. Um, and I was really surprised, because when we were sending out, advanced copies of the books, my editor and my agent, they were like, "Hey, Amanda, why didn't you send a book out to R.L. Stine?" And I was like, "No, no way! Like, he's not going to remember me." They're like, "Yeah, but like, why don't you just reach out to him and try?" I was like, "No!" Like, it felt so. It was like something inside me was just like, "Ah," I was like, there's no way he'd remember. But I, sent him a message, and like, bless him, like, what a lovely person. He messaged me back. He's like, "Hi, Amanda, I remember you." I was like, no way. I'm pretty sure. Like, I'd be surprised if he actually did, or maybe I was just so incoherent. He was like, "Oh, this is like the strangest person I met in my life," and I like left an impression or something. But yeah, and he very, very kindly, very generously agreed to read the book. And I was like, just you having this book, that's enough for me. It's just such an honor. And then, like, very shortly, like maybe 2 weeks later, he sent me a message with, his quote, and I'm not gonna lie, I cried like a baby. It was just such a big moment for me. And this was pretty early on in the process too. Right after we'd sort of send it into production and all of that, and just to have this, because I am very, very nervous about this book, Sarah, as I told you, because
Yeah.
it's such a departure, right, from like the previous sort of more contemporary thrillers that I write. So
Yeah.
yeah, so just having this a quote really just gave me a lot of kind of confidence to keep pushing forward with it.
I mean, Amanda's being very modest here. The year that she met Mr. Stine at the Thriller Fest in New York City is also the year that Amanda won an award and took to the stage in front of Mr. Stine and the 800 people in the audience and gave a beautiful, beautiful speech about.
But I do not remember, Sarah. Like, I don't remember it at all.
Well, I remember it, and she talked about Sri Lanka, and she talked about her writing process and how this was a love letter to her beautiful country, which was going through some troubles. And I am sure that speech, which had 800 people in tears, meant a lot to Mr. Stine and to all of us. And I'm sure he remembered you as the award-winning, gracious, humble, brilliant, and talented author who stood on the stage in front of 1,000 people, almost 1,000 people in a ballroom in New York City, and gave a beautiful thank you speech. So he remembers you as the award-winning author, as you are.
You're very kind. You're very kind.
Renee saying, "Wow." Yes, it was such a wow moment, Renee. It was such a wow moment. Amanda, of course, looked amazing and gorgeous. She strode up onto the stage, and she was so heartfelt. It was really a beautiful moment. I remember it. So I love that that you messaged him and asked for this blurb, and he gave you, again, let's take a quick peek at it, this beautiful blurb, saying how incredible your book is. An astounding accomplishment. I mean, I think when R.L. Stine tells you that your book is an astounding accomplishment, that's an astounding accomplishment.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely been something like beyond even a dream coming true. I don't think I even dreamt of something like this happening.
Oh,
It's
I
just
love that.
mind
Well,
blown.
Amanda, he's Mr. R.L. Stine is not the only person raving about this book. Let's take a peek at some of the other praise. Kirkus Reviews, who I believe the New York Times called reliably, curmudgeonly, and cantankerous, also weighing in with some incredible praise, saying the twists and turns to this fantastical mystery, as well as the author's commentary on colorism, colonialism, and feminine outrage shine through. So I want to pause on that, first of all, because this is a rave review from the reviewers that we know can be really tough. But what I love about this review is that they love the same thing about it that I love about your books. And this book is both a radical departure from your first two books because it is historical, which I love. Clearly, I love
Yeah.
historical books. I write historical books. I read historical books. So I was so excited to see you take this direction in your career. But it also has those same things that I have loved about your first two books, which are deeply embedded in Sri Lankan culture, talking about the impact and the after effects of colonialism and what it is to be a woman in this culture and in this world, at whether it's then or now or both. So first of all, I just love reading this review. Now I want to talk about your process. So let's break this down into each part. So first of all, the twists and turns. Amanda, share with all of us a peek into your process. Do you plot out the twists and turns? Do you just, are you a pantser? Do you just go with the flow and the twists and turns come to you? Tell us about that part first.
Great question. So I'm a little bit in between. I like to have the beats plotted out, but relatively loosely. I don't do a chapter by chapter outline because I find that the one or two times I've done that, I've just lost interest in writing the book. I find it very constricting. So I am one of those people that like to sit down and like kind of let the characters do their thing. I do usually know what at least the big twists or the big reveals are before I start writing. And I need to have some sort of ending in mind that I'm writing towards. So I'll usually know like who the good guys are, if there are any, or who the bad guy, who like the big bad is, like what the big plot twist is, what the big reveal, that aha, gotcha moment. I'll know those things. But and I'll have a rough idea, like, oh, okay, like this will be the inciting incident, like this will be what pushes her forward, or like a few things like that will propel the story on. But otherwise, I just like to sit down and write. But one thing I do that I if I don't do this, I feel like I can never write a compelling enough story, is I like to spend a week or two to find the author's, sorry, not the author's, the narrator's voice. So I like to write in first person a lot. So whoever my main character is, I usually sit down as my main character and I almost like journal a little bit. What do they want? What's preventing them from getting what they want? What hurts them? What makes them happy? Are they happy generally? Are they sad? If they are sad, what is making them sad? I'll try to have a grip on what my character's mindset is going into the story, and that's what enables me to write without a very rigid outline. Yeah, I really wish, I think my life would be a lot easier if I could outline and stick to it, but it just, I get bored. And it just, yeah, I'm too emotional about writing, I think. I need to get a little bit more practical about it, but hey.
But I think that emotional connection comes through in your writing. And I think that's part of what people resonate so deeply with, is that because you both write in first person and you write from the heart, that energy comes through both in the voice and in the energy of the voice. Renee wants to know, did any of the characters cause you to change your story? Okay, yeah. So as you're both plotting out the beats, but letting the story guide you and finding these voices, what they want, what's preventing them. Amara, tell us about, did Amara change anything for you?
Yes and no. So Amara's general arc, I knew where she was going to start and I knew where she was going to end. But definitely her interactions with, I think, especially her mother and her best friend Neha. Both of those interactions did change because the characters weren't quite doing exactly what I wanted them to do, and that's great. I love it when that happens, but sometimes like they just don't behave themselves the way I expect them to. And I think Amara's mother, especially, I think I really enjoyed writing her because I felt that she was probably the most nuanced of all the characters. You know, she's Amara's relationship with her mother is strained, but then we also get a glimpse of Amara's mother's relationship with her own mother, Amara's grandmother. And I think those elements were definitely something that, as I kind of kept diving deeper into the story and like massaging these relationships and these ideas, they definitely took like turns that I didn't intend to in the beginning, and they ended up sort of impacting the overall, I think, Amara's relationship with them and how then it relates to the story. Yeah.
Ooh, without any spoilers, could you share what one of those unexpected characters not acting as you expected them to act? Could you give us an example without any spoilers?
Oh, that's tough. Hey. I think so with Amara's friend Neha, it's a point of contention because they're actually not really friends when the story begins. They've stopped being friends. They've had this big falling out. And the reason for that is because Neha and her family have sort of embraced the colonial mindset and have, assimilated a little bit more into it. Like they've taken on Christianity as their religion and sort of given and Amara feels quite abandoned by this because she's like, these are the same ideologies that are causing so much hate towards me and my family. Like, why are you why are you abandoning me like this? And I think Neha's the character's reactions was something that I had a bit of a push and pull towards because I'm just someone of the general belief that it's never a religion per se that's bad, but it's just the institutionalization of something that's what changes it, and it kind of takes away from the message of the actual religion itself, regardless of what the religion is. And I think we can see that in a variety of examples across the world, even to this day. So I think with Neha and her relationship with Amara and the way Christianity impacted that was definitely something that I tugged, and like Neha's behavior changed every time I wrote a new draft. Her behavior changed, and there's this ending situation with Neha and Amara that I can't discuss without spoiling, but that definitely was very different in the first draft, from the first draft to the last.
Interesting. Yeah, because we see Neha both embracing, as you said, colonialism and Christianity, and then we see the difference of Amara going to Neha's house and seeing how different her house is and how different their furnishings are and their rituals have become, their eating has become, and I think we've all had. I'm always really fascinated when friendships are addressed because I think we've all had those friendships where you're best friends with someone and then they change or you change or life changes and then the friendship dissipates or ends and you feel the loss of that. When Amanda is in her room and she finds at the bottom of a basket a book that Neha had given her and it hurts. And I know I've had friendships that have ended and it hurts. And I loved that part of it because Neha was growing in one way and Amanda was growing in another way, and then there's a boy, and
there's always a boy.
There's always a boy. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. And Ram, Amara's boyfriend, plays an interesting role in this as well. So really universal themes that you're addressing here. We have a mystery user, very on brand, joining us anonymously saying, hello, ladies. I'm excited to read this one. Oh, I'm excited for you to read this one too. Welcome. I wanted to talk too about this blurb from Isabel Canas, and I'm going to pop it up here so we can all read it together. because she's talking about tense and twisty. Island Witch is a fierce exploration of a young woman's rage and two kinds of demons. So I'm going to pop it up here. Two kinds of demons, the ones that thrive in the darkness of the jungle, yes, but also those that lurk under the skin of people you thought that you could trust. I love that. She goes on to say, this razor sharp anti-colonial historical horror with the heart of a thriller, and it kept me feverishly turning the pages long into the night. So I was interested to see it because I actually hadn't thought of it as horror, and then I was thinking, oh, I guess it is technically horror. What do you think?
I mean, there are supernatural elements that I haven't really used before in my writing. So I think that's kind of what tips the scales more in the favor of horror. I would definitely say it veers more towards the gothic horror side of things. This is a little bit more slow burn. There's a lot of a young girl's angst and like a coming of age and like how she's dealing with societal pressures. And I think it really begs the question. And I love what Isabel said was that, like you have monsters. Like when we say monsters, a lot of the time we think of demons and we think of ghosts. And but there are other very horrific things that happen around us. And I think with Island Witch, for me, it was like, which is worse here? Like, where this is a book that we have demons and we have exorcisms and we have curses, but who do we really have to fear at the end of the day? And so for me, like that's the question I had in my mind when I wrote the book.
And I think that was so interesting because I think ultimately the scariest things aren't the creatures of the jungle or what happens at night. It's how cruel other people can be, and how cruel actions of people in different situations can be. That's truly the most horrific. I also was thinking about how the friendship between Amara and Neha, that female friendship and the dynamics are something you've addressed in all of your books. And, specifically, I'm thinking of You're Invited last year, when Amaya, returns to Sri Lanka and is dealing with, a friend, her former best friend, the falling out and renegotiation of that friendship. And I love how this book is so different, and yet it still has all that trademark Jayatissa of female friendships in and outs, old histories, secrets, all the good stuff. All of it.
Thank you. Someone commented on one of my Instagram posts that said, "Angry Women is Amanda Jayatissa's brand," and I'm like, hell yeah, Angry Women's my brand. Yeah, of course. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, we got a lot to be angry about. It's fine. We can rage about it sometimes.
Indeed, we can. Y'all, the book is not even out yet. Amanda is joining us live today for this very special sneak peek to take your questions and answer your questions, give you the inside scoop on all things Island Witch. And you can order or pre-order today from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is, of course, Murder by the Book, one of 3 dedicated mystery and thriller bookstores here in the United States. So whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, here is the link to click and pre-order, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will send you your copy of Island Witch tomorrow morning as soon as the book drops. So here is that link. So click, pre-order, and tomorrow morning you will have your copy in the mail and on your way so that you too can immerse yourself in the beautiful fishing town of and the world of Amara and Neha and Ram and Tatha and all of these good things that we are talking about. Renee's saying happy early pub day, Amanda. Yeah. So how are you feeling? The book's out tomorrow. Are you nervous? Are you excited? Tell us all the things.
Quite nervous actually about this one, because like we said, it is such a departure from the previous types of books that I've written. I'm very excited about it as well. Of course, when you write about your home, there's that added I don't know, there's just so much mixed feelings there because you want to display it out to the world and like show people, okay, here, this is my country, this is where I'm from, there's an added sense of, responsibility and pressure that goes with it. Like, am I, am I portraying it correctly? Like, how am I, phrasing this? Is it right? Am I doing right by, the people I'm representing here? I'm not, even though like specifically representing them isn't my aim here. It's just I'm writing what I know and what I love and what I grew up in. So yeah, definitely a lot of feelings. Definitely a lot of feelings are being felt right now. But I am very, very excited. I've gotten, the feedback I've gotten has been lovely, and it's always really like heartening when readers reach out and tell me what they think. And there have been the few advanced copies around, and I've had a bit of feedback, and that's been wonderful. So I'm very, very excited and also a little nervous. Oh.
I had myself muted because I was typing the pre-link, the pre-order link. I didn't want my clacking to be heard.
I just thought it was me for a second. I'm like, it's usually me. I'm not very tech savvy, so.
Oh my God, no, it was totally me. Amanda, I noticed in your acknowledgments that you thanked the team at Berkeley for for both you said for being so supportive, your editor and your team for being so supportive and also so sensitive in helping you to portray Sri Lankan culture with dignity and with honor, and to hold these stories and this culture so lovingly. And I thought that's such a beautiful, beautiful shout out.
Everyone was so great about it, and so like sensitive and so keen to get every detail right. And that meant so much to me, because I think the thing with coming from a country like Sri Lanka, which is so small and so like underrepresented, right? That there's a usually when you're looking, especially from the design aspect, it just kind of gets lumped in with India a lot. And I kept, saying, I was like, oh, we're two distinct cultures, and they just worked so much with me to make sure that, like, even if you look at her costume and like what she's wearing, it is accurate for like the time period. We sent a lot of old photos back and forth. We spoke about like her jewelry and what she's wearing, and like she's holding a pahana, which is like a little Sri Lankan clay lamp, and so much of it is just accurate, and they work so hard to get these details right. And for me, that meant everything, to be so supported by my team who saw like value in this story and thought it was equally as important to get all these details right. It meant the world.
Oh, I love that, Amanda. I love that. Yeah, and you acknowledge that not only were they, supportive, they were excited, and how much that meant for you, which is, I mean, it's so great. Okay, Adrian, welcome to the conversation. Wants to know, will Murder by the Book have signed copies? So Amanda is not touring in person for this particular book, but if you DM me your receipt for Murder by the Book, I will get you a signed book plate from Miss Amanda herself. She will personalize it and send it to you. So just DM me your receipt on social media, any social media, either Amanda or myself, and we will get you a signed book plate from the author herself. Thank you so much for your question, Adrian, and for supporting a woman-owned independent bookstore. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Renee saying, Amanda, this book sounds really personal. I was thinking that as well. And while all of your books are really personal, this one feels perhaps the most personal.
They're all personal, right? They're all our babies when we write these books. Definitely this story is like the story of my heart. Like I had this idea many years ago, actually, back in maybe 2017 or so. And I did kind of an outline, and I didn't write it. I just didn't feel like I could somehow. And so I had this outline and title, and I had a document that was just like tucked away on my hard drive somewhere that I'd forgotten about. And I was just clearing out, I think, my my desktop or whatever. And then I came across this a couple of days before I was meant to speak with my editor about my potential book 3. And just to let you guys know, I was working on a completely different book at the time. I'd outlined it. I think gotten a couple of chapters in, and we spent that whole phone call discussing this other book. And so it was like, I think maybe 40 minutes we were chatting about it, and we were both, feeling good about it, I think. And at the very end, I was just like, hey, I found this other outline. It was just, bouncing around my hard drive, and I found it, and it's called Island Witch. And I just gave her like a brief intro, and I still remember she stopped and she smiled, and she was like, tell me more. And that's really what got me going. Like, that's the thing that like sparked me to be like, okay, wow, there might be something here. Let me dig a little deeper and see if I can work on this story. And yeah, and then like outpoured this novel that's just so different. And I always say, like, some books, you just sit down and they come to you, right? It like gushes through you, and the words come in the page. Yeah, this was not one of those books. Okay, I had to wrestle with this story because it was really difficult, because it was just so, I think, in my heart, and like I really just wanted to get it right, and I had to really, really dig deep. And the time I was writing it, it was during a lot of problems that were happening in Sri Lanka, where I was living at the time. And there were rolling power cuts. Like, there were days where we didn't have electricity for like maybe 8 hours, and I would be typing and like praying my laptop wouldn't die. We were on the streets, we were protesting. There was no fuel. It was just a really intense time, and I was obviously feeling a lot of rage, and I was feeling very much like I had to fight to get my voice heard. And I think a lot of that rage got channeled. There's a lot of rage in the book, so, and it had to come from somewhere, and I'm not usually a very ragey person, so definitely a lot of that got channeled into the book, which made it so special. Like, it's very, very special to me.
Well, I am super ragey. I'm enraged almost all the time, so that works well for me. But no, I also noticed in your acknowledgments that you had said that you had shared that moment of when you shared the book idea with your editor, and she smiled, and it actually made me smile, because I was thinking how much something small can mean to someone, and how something as simple as a big genuine smile can mean to someone who you don't even know is sharing something really vulnerable, and how and how many times people have done that for me, and it has meant the whole world to me. So I loved reading about that. And I also laughed when you said this was not, some books just, you sit down and they just pour out of you. This was not that book. I giggled. Renee wants to know, Sarah, did you find Amanda's novel spooky at all? Renee, I did. So for me, I am very open to the idea I believe that we don't know everything, and that not everything can be explained. There are things that I will never understand, that I will never explain. And I am open to the idea of ghosts and spirits and possession, and I would very much like to not be possessed. I'd like to just be.
We all.
Yes. So I was definitely thinking, like, how can I how can I keep that door closed so that the yakas are not coming in here? That's the word for spirit, for an evil spirit. Because I was thinking, there's also there's a scene with an exorcism, which, by the way, there was one line I love where you said something like, exorcisms are never cheery affairs. And I literally laughed out loud, or something like that. I laughed out loud, because in the midst of this really intense, scary scene, it was this moment of levity and humor. But yes, Renee, to answer your question, I did not read this book too late at night. And after I read it, I would read something like a palate cleanser. I would watch like a Friends rerun because I would think, how can I just, sort of like get back to the easy breezy happy place, because this is some scary stuff that I don't want to think too deeply about in case I accidentally invite them in. And I actually wanted to ask you, Amanda, do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in spirits? What are your thoughts on all this stuff?
Sarah, I'm Sri Lankan. Like, of course, Of
Okay.
course, like,
Yeah.
it's impossible to grow up in Sri Lanka, I think, and not like, and it's just so normalized there. It's like really normalized to be like, hey, I moved to this house and there were some disturbances, and I felt really bad vibes there, so I'm moving. Like it's a very like a normal sort of thing that's like a point of conversation that's so funny. So like people always ask me, they're like, oh, do you believe in ghosts? I'm like, well, I guess I do. Like it's not something that I think I spend a whole lot of time like thinking like I don't I also don't get scared very easily, as you could probably tell with Island Witch or I sorry, I just saw your question, like, do you believe in ghosts?
I mean, I'm asking the audience if they
Yeah,
believe. Yeah, I want to see
yeah,
what
yeah,
people
I
think.
love that. And I'd love to hear what they say. Yeah, I mean, simple answer is yeah, I guess I do.
And I think a lot of people do, but it's maybe not as culturally acceptable in the West to say
Sure,
that
yeah.
you do. So
Mm.
I interviewed Alice Feeney.
Mhm.
I've interviewed her a couple times, and she shared that she had moved to this very old cottage with 4-foot wall mud walls in
Ooh,
England that had been
right.
there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And
Mhm.
she was like, this is very old. Some stuff has happened here. Right. And
Oof.
then her neighbor, several houses down,
Mhm.
shared that books just fly off the shelf and fly, and that
Like,
she and the
girl,
neighbor.
move. Move.
I would move, Amanda. I would move. So she was saying that they actually share the same publicist, and the publicist had gone over for drinks to talk about her next book, and books started flying off the shelf across the room like violently. They didn't fall off the shelf. They were
Oh,
flying, flinging angrily. And the publicist was like, "Should I say something, or would this be rude to be like, hey, is there something going on with your bookshelf?" So
right?
finally he said, "Hey, it seems like books are flying off your bookshelf." And the author said, "Oh, yes, that just happens, but don't say anything because you'll enrage them and then they'll do it more. Like they'll do it more angrily, more books will fly and they'll be more violent. So you just have to, she's just sipping her drink. You just have to let it happen. They'll be done." Amanda, I would pack my tiny bags and move the next day.
I'm out. I'm
I
out.
would.
Like, I'm like, girl, bye. Like, no.
Girl, bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Renee saying she's open to the idea of ghosts. Randy saying yes, he does. High five, Randy. Adrian says 100%
All
believe
right.
in ghosts. Yeah. Or I, I interviewed Vera Kurian yesterday or last Monday. I said, "Do you believe in ghosts?" She's like, "No, but I'm scared of them." I was like, "But how can you be scared of something you don't believe in? Obviously, you really do believe it, but you don't want to say that." Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Well, you guys, we're talking about ghosts. We're talking about spirits, possession, demons. We're talking all the things. And this is all in Amanda's book out tomorrow, y'all. Island Witch. And you can pre order your copy from our favorite woman owned independent bookstore. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. So whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, click and pre order. Get your hands on this witch and let us know what you think. I can't wait to hear what y'all think. And again, just DM Amanda or I your receipt from Murder by the Book, and we will get you a signed book plate. Oh, Renee's saying it's my use of the word ghost is wrong. She believes in spirits. Good distinction. You're
Mm.
right. There's a difference between ghost and spirit.
Mhm.
Allison Victoria Wolf, welcome to the conversation. Our fellow author over here. She says she can't wait. Oh, thank you, Allison. All right, y'all, we are out of time. We're actually over time, but time flies when you're having fun. So again, pre-order your copy, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will ship it out to you tomorrow morning. Amanda Jayatissa, thank you for coming back for lucky number 3. Congratulations on
Oh,
your
thank you.
fabulous book. And come back when you're next. You have to come back and give us the inside scoop on your next book, because this is our
We
tradition now.
exactly. It's just become a tradition. It's become a thing. And yeah, I'll definitely see you next time. Thank you
Exactly.
so much for having me, Sarah. It's always such a blast to be on your show.
Oh my gosh, it is so great to have you. Thank you for all the love, you guys. Jane, welcome to the conversation. It's such a great discussion. So great to have you. Y'all, that is a wrap. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. And I see everyone, I know there's some lurkers here. Aaron Phillip Clark, I see you in the chat, our fellow author and Thriller Fest attendee, Alan Phillip Clark, Kathleen, Pat, Sean, Heather, Edward, Emmanuel, Kaya, Kai, Anne, Robin, Diane, Jay, Pat, T, Tara, Rosemary, Rachel, Ruth, Eileen, Rick, Jeremy, Mohinder, Robert, Sunday, Lisa, Ann M, thank Darius, Pauline, Aja, JL, Karen,
Wow.
Irma, Carla, Indira, Mary H, Hina, Bridget, Jordan, Alan, Tammy, Rose O, Elizabeth, Mark, Emily, Sharon, Caleb, Kelly, Albert, Danny, I see you all, Maria, Mariah, Jerry, Alufunke, Indigo, Willie, Maisha, Amit, Padmini, Tevin, Jane, Angela, Kakua, Clarissa, Aiden, oh my gosh, A. Laverne, Noreen, Jake, Alice, Kevin, Deborah, Lee, Terrence, Noah, Karen A, James, Rusty, Jessica, Munir, Ray Robinson, Orisman, Gary, and anyone else I may have missed. Thank you for joining us. I always like to give a shout out because if you spent your time with me, you deserve to be seen. Thank you all for joining us. Oh my goodness, Shay with the hobbies just joined us. Hey, Shay. Hey, girl, welcome. She says, I am such a fan. Your invited had me enthralled.
Oh, thank you.
All right, y'all, that is a wrap. Amanda, Allison says she will be grabbing her copy. She's so excited. Allison, I appreciate you. Thank you, ma'am. All right, y'all, that is a wrap. I will be back at 4:30 with Dorothy Kunsen live from the UK with Tabrisia Jones co-hosting. Stay tuned.